The day I miscarried, Julian just happened to be accompanying his secretary to her prenatal checkup, passing right by me. Cramps pulsed across my lower abdomen, the stretcher sheet beneath me glared crimson. At the instant we brushed past, he lifted a hand to shield the girl's eyes and said flatly, "Don't look. It's filthy." That night, after I came home, the man slid a set of divorce papers across the table. "Sign it. The kid's morning sickness is rough, I need to coax her. Oh, and she's young, pretty inexperienced, take the trouble to give her some pointers." I smiled and said sure. Calmly, I signed, then turned away to dial a number. "Professor Morgan, I've decided. I can fly out to Aurelia next week and join the team." When the call ended, he walked in from the balcony. "Who were you talking to?" he asked idly while typing a message, his gaze never grazing me for even a second. "Professor Morgan." I told him the truth, he merely hummed. As always, Julian cared nothing for my world, yet performed perfunctory diligence. I said nothing more, slipped on my glasses, and began booking a ticket. Maybe my silence drew him, his cool eyes finally settled on me. "The doctor says your health is fragile. Tomorrow I'll have Mrs. Housekeeper stew some supplements. Don't get upset these next 2 days, and stay away from cold things." I nodded okay, then went quiet. He was about to add something when his phone vibrated. The corners of his mouth lifted. In a good mood, he opened the door and left. I knew he was heading to the executive study, the room I'd been barred from since last week. Only because I'd found Lily's photos in there. From last Valentine's Day's couple selfie to last weekend's picnic. My husband's drawer was crammed full of another woman's memories. The instant the bedroom door shut, a dull ache bloomed in my belly. This child had been hard won, I'd guarded it with infinite care. But the emergency struck this afternoon, cramps out of nowhere. The hospital was far. I called Julian again and again, no answer. Turns out he was at Lily's sonogram. The doctor said, regret in his voice, that if I'd arrived earlier, saving the baby wouldn't have been a problem. My phone lit up with a message from Lily. I thought it was the report she owed me. I opened it to find her 8-week ultrasound printout. Something stabbed my heart, my finger froze above the screen. "Sorry, Serena, sent to the wrong chat." The picture vanished, replaced by the correct data sheet. I handled it professionally, eyes scanning the numbers. "It's fine, but the stats are sloppy. Please redo it." Minutes later, that same ultrasound appeared on Julian's Instagram. Caption, "All green lights." Congratulations flooded the comments. Bitterness welled. I added my own congrats, then exited. The bedroom door swung open and Julian demanded, "Serena, is it fun to deliberately make her life difficult? Why do you keep targeting her?" Baffled, I looked up as he shoved his phone at me. Lily had run to him, claiming I'd bullied her. I dropped my gaze and said coolly, "The data really was sloppy. If the CEO doubts it, take a look yourself." Hearing the sudden formality of CEO, he stalled, the fire in him choked. He blinked, then softened a notch. "The doctor says you must rest, not stew. At the office this week, don't stoop to her level. Oh, tomorrow's team building outing, she loves." One after another, he listed what she couldn't eat and what she adored. I listened in silence, the irony almost funny. After 5 years of marriage he seemed to have forgotten my own tastes. Watching the man in front of me recite another girl's preferences, I couldn't help laughing as I asked, "So do you remember what I like to eat?" His smile thinned into irritation. "Why drag that up again?" I wiped my tears, half laughing, half furious. Realizing he was no longer the man who once had endless patience, I skipped the quarrel. "I'll handle it." Next morning at the door he said, "I'm off." Because of our positions, we never commuted together. I gave a soft I still on breakfast. Noticing my low spirits, he surprisingly offered to stay home. My spoon paused mid-sip. "You're still weak, I'll rest here with you. I'll brief Lily at the office. She's improving fast, smarter than her first week." He didn't notice how naturally the topic slid back to his secretary. I only smiled wryly. He answered a call, his expression darkened. "Emergency, I'll be back soon." He left without looking back. When I reached Vance, coworkers were gossiping. "You think the CEO would divorce his wife for Lily? Surely not. You didn't see how protective he is. She barely scalded her hand on coffee this morning and he drove her straight to the hospital." A pang shot through me. I slipped to my desk. Few employees knew I was Mrs. Vance, so my resignation sailed through. Coming out of HR, I ran into Julian escorting Lily from the elevator, his arm around her waist. He let go quickly. "Didn't I tell you to rest at home?" Before I could answer, Lily chirped, "Serena just had surgery and she's already back at work, so dedicated." Not like me, I'm clumsy. Thank goodness the CEO is patient enough to polish every proposal. But Serena, if you tire yourself out, the CEO will worry. He's overloaded as it is. Julian's eyes iced over, the concern he'd shown chilled. "Making light of your health, do you expect me to pity you? Serena, grow up." I opened my mouth, then shut it. No point. I worked until dusk, then my phone buzzed. "Julian, come downstairs." "Right, tonight's company outing." His car idled at the curb. I habitually approached the passenger side. Before I touched the handle, the window slid down and Lily beamed. "Serena, you're here." Seeing my silence, she drooped like a scolded child. "You're not mad, are you? I get carsick. The CEO let me sit here to be nice." She squirmed. "Should I move to the back?" Julian glanced at me. I cut in first. "It's fine, any seat works. When you no longer love, every seat is the same." I opened the rear door and got in. Julian glanced back at me once, swallowed whatever he wanted to say, then drove off. At the dinner table everyone played a drinking game. Lose and you drink. When it was Lily's turn to lose, the man yanked the glass away like a conqueror, voice syrupy sweet. "You can't drink." "Oh, I forgot." The colleagues around us hooted. "The boss is so good to Lily. I'm jealous to death." Lily lowered her head in bashful delight, tucking her hair behind her ear. The instant she lifted her eyes, she stared straight at me, pupils glinting with provocation. Nothing like the timid, careful girl who'd first met me at the office. From the respectful Serena, every other sentence to the blunt, "The one who isn't loved is the real mistress." A man's unguarded, childish love had become the entire confidence of a girl who'd just graduated. For a moment I couldn't tell whether this was adoration or lethal poison. I looked at Julian and smiled. "President Vance is so considerate to his employees." Lily's tone turned peevish. "He only blocked 2 drinks for me." "Why is Serena being so snide? Or is there something about my work that displeases you? Just say it." She pretended to be magnanimous, speaking briskly, yet her voice carried grievance that made people pity her. Colleagues began defending her, grumbling about me. "Serena, are you drunk?" Looks more like jealousy to me. Watching Julian shield her glass with practiced ease, the familiar scene yanked me backward, and suddenly I realized every clue had always been there. "The kid passes out after 1 sip, I'll drink for her." When Lily first joined, I personally showed her the ropes. Julian insisted on coming every single time. Back then I'd thought he was clingy. "I don't feel easy leaving you alone. Serena, let me come with you, okay?" I couldn't stand his wheedling, so I gave in. Looking back, it's hilarious, isn't it? Saying he wanted to keep me company when he was actually afraid I'd pick on Lily. Yet when he blocked her drinks, he never even glanced my way. I must have felt uneasy then. I told myself I was petty, but I still cracked a joke. "How come you only drink for Lily? Help me with 2 glasses." He stared, startled, then laughed, casual and light. "Little girls can't hold their liquor, you're different. Serena, you never get drunk. Serena, you never get drunk." "Really?" I stared at the glass in front of me, unable to remember when I'd gone from 1 sip flushing my face to downing countless shots without falling. Back then, to land contracts, I drank like my life depended on it. I remembered the night I drank until my stomach bled and ended up in the ER. The ward was full. They parked me in the corridor, my hands and feet numb with cold. Julian knelt beside the gurney in that public hallway, hugging me, weeping with guilt, swearing he'd give me a good life someday. When he said it, I never doubted his heart. Just as I can clearly feel he no longer loves me now. My eyes stung. The liquor burned, and tears slid down. Lily suddenly looked at me. "Hey, Serena, your ring is gorgeous, where'd you buy it?" Panic flickered through Julian's eyes. He didn't have time to hide it, and I'd already seen. The spot where the band should have been was bare. When we were broke, we never had a wedding. He always felt he owed me. So the first money he earned he spent on this pair of rings, presenting them like treasure on my birthday night. I'd burst into tears, calling him a fool, saying money wasn't meant for that. But he asked me seriously, "Are you happy?" I froze, and he asked again, "Serena, are you happy?" I choked, unable to speak, but nodded. "Yes." Then Julian smiled. He stepped forward, gently kissed my tears away, slipped the ring on my finger, and I heard him say, "Serena, I only want you to be happy. Being with me, I won't let you suffer." While he tangled with Lily, how few were the jokes at my expense. Company gossip about her, and he shielded her without hesitation. Yet he still refused to publicly acknowledge me as his wife. Julian, put your hand on your heart, have you given me so little grief? True hearts are hard to guard, the promise of that year has fallen away with the ring. 7 years of love he could shrug off so lightly, why can't I? Smiling, I slid the ring off and placed it in front of Lily under Julian's gaze. It's nothing important. If you like it, it's yours. The man's face darkened on the spot. Pleading a headache, I left early. I had just stepped out when his angry voice rang behind me. Serena, he chased me, I had to stop. Eyes blazing, he demanded, why give our ring away like that? Just because I forgot what you like to eat, you throw a tantrum? I'm not. My bland, indifferent tone left Julian feeling as if he'd punched cotton. Where was the Serena who used to pout and cajole? So his voice softened a notch. You kept saying you wanted that restaurant, I got us a table. He paused, then added, I'll take you tomorrow. Fine. I shrugged. His gaze darkened, he slipped the ring back on my finger, draped his jacket over my shoulders, gentle again. Let's go home. For a moment I almost believed he was the Julian of old. Just then a colleague poked her head out. President Vance, Lily's drunk and crying for you to take her home. Julian froze. Before he could answer, I tugged the coat off and shoved it back at him. I'll get back myself. I walked away without looking back and tossed the ring into a corner trash can. The food at the restaurant next day really was good. Mid-meal Julian produced a pink diamond necklace, the very one I'd once mentioned. Back then he'd raised an eyebrow. Serena, you're 30, why do you still like teenage things? Seeing my flat expression, he looked puzzled. You used to love it. I shrugged. Not anymore. After a silence he got up for the restroom. His phone, left on the table, lit up. Lily had sent several selfies from different angles. Help me pick, which one? Ugh, the necklace you gave me is so gorgeous I can't choose. He'd given her the same necklace. Actually, a whole matching set. When he came back the dishes were almost cold, his eyes still glued to the screen. If you're busy, go ahead. Only then did he pocket the phone, smile fading. It's nothing. I'm spending the day with you. I didn't answer. From behind me a voice suddenly rang out, Mr. Vance, nice, promise me lunch and then forget to invite me. Lily pulled out a chair and sat down as naturally as breathing. Julian chuckled, gaze syrupy with indulgence. Didn't you say you had no appetite? I don't, but I can still keep you company. My fork froze midair. I looked at Julian. So Lily had wanted to eat, she'd skipped it today for health reasons, which was why he'd remembered me. But I no longer expected anything from him, so how could I be disappointed? After lunch Lily insisted on hitting the mall. It happened to be Valentine's Day, and the shopping center was handing out free roses to couples. Those flowers are gorgeous, I want one. Lily tugged Julian toward the booth. I stayed where I was, watching him walk away without so much as a backward glance. By the time he came back with a single rose, I had vanished. That night my plane touched down in Aurelia, and a message from Kayla chimed in. Serena, did something happen? She was one of the few at Vance who knew Julian and I were married. Before I could reply, 2 more texts arrived. Where are you? The boss is blowing up tonight, something about Lily. I was still wondering how to answer when Kayla sent a photo. In it, a porcelain figurine lay shattered on the carpet. Everyone at headquarters knew Julian's office always displayed a pair of them. The one Lily had just knocked over had been mine. Kayla said the episode ended with Lily slicing her finger on the shards while picking them up, sending Julian into an anguished fuss. I thanked Kayla and powered off, the irony bitter on my tongue. Those figurines had stood there for as many years as Julian had claimed to love me. He no longer loved me, yet he still put on a show. When Julian returned from bandaging Lily, he happened to spot the lone survivor while sorting documents that afternoon. He frowned, then rose, and stashed it in the bottom drawer. Better to spare himself Serena's inevitable questions the next time she visited. Lily whined that the workload was killing her. Without a second thought Julian forwarded every last task to me. Let Serena handle it. But the next several days passed without a glimpse of her, at home or at the office. Serena hadn't even texted. At first the breathing room felt pleasant. Yet less than a week later the silence began to grate. Over dinner with Lily at the same restaurant, he finally caved and typed, temperatures dropping, bundle up. He checked his phone every few seconds. 3 minutes, no reply. Before, no matter how busy, Serena had always answered instantly. He scrolled up and grew dizzy. Most of the chat was her talking. His own answers were rare. Across the table Lily pouted. The food's getting cold, eyes on me, not your screen. Is your phone prettier than I am? Another half hour, the meal almost finished, still nothing. He hesitated, then typed again, coming home tonight? The lab had been hectic. I didn't see the messages until after my shower. Still mad? I'm not mad. That was the truth. You've been avoiding me. He stated it as fact. I almost laughed out loud. I'm on another continent, hardly playing hide and seek. Quit it, Serena. How long are you going to keep throwing this tantrum? Sensing a reply, he must have slipped back into that lofty tone. I could picture it. I snorted and killed the screen. Over the next few days he kept texting. Lab work swallowed my hours. I either left him on read or answered with icy brevity. Apparently bored with the cold shoulder, he finally stopped. Serena, I'm really angry this time. Think it over. I still didn't respond. So, like a sullen child, he declared, I'm taking Lily on a business trip. Don't contact me unless it's urgent. Exactly what I wanted. Yet for a business trip, Lily posted 8 vacation photos a day, beach selfies, gourmet plates, even a snap of the two of them repainting matching figurines at the craft stall we once visited together, the new pair now displayed in his office. I felt nothing, once I even accidentally liked a shot. The second I did, Julian rang. Serena, you're deliberately trying to rile me, aren't you? I was brushing my teeth, mute. Tell me where you are, I'll pick you up right now. Not necessary. His voice iced over. You know my patience has limits. The line clicked dead. He waited a few more days, certain I'd come groveling back. Yet when he walked into the penthouse after work, the familiar figure still wasn't there. Nothing had been touched, dust filmed the dining table. The white gardenia in the vase was the same one from the morning of our last Cold War, now wilted and brown. Mrs. Housekeeper hurried to swap it for a fresh bloom, but Julian's irritation only grew. He pulled out his phone to call, then stopped and asked, Has the missus been home at all this week? Mrs. Housekeeper blinked. She said she had a trip to the neighboring city, would be gone a few days. She didn't mention it to you? Julian's brow creased. She hadn't. Still, learning it was only a business trip, his expression relaxed. Chase had flown back to Eastbrook and they'd arranged drinks tonight. With Serena away, Julian brought Lily along. The moment they arrived, uneasy glances flew across the room, but no one spoke. Chase studied Lily for 2 seconds, then invited everyone to sit. Midway through, one tipsy friend blurted, Where's Serena? Used to be Julian never showed up without her. Someone kicked him under the table. Undeterred, he pressed on, Julian, don't tell me Serena dumped you? Lily's smile froze. She shot Julian a look and laughed sweetly. Serena's off sulking somewhere. If any of you run into her, talk some sense into her, okay? Mr. Vance works so hard, tell her to quit the tantrums. The table fell mute, the air stiff. Chase swirled his glass, eyes narrowing. Julian had seemed elsewhere all night, deaf to the chat around him. Ignored, Lily turned to him with a plaintive pout, and only then did he stir, voice flat. She's on a business trip to the next city. She'll be back in a couple of days. The tone was so flat it was as if Serena weren't his wife at all, merely some ordinary employee on assignment. Chase set down his whiskey glass and clicked his tongue. That doesn't add up. I flew in 2 days ago and ran into her at the airport. I said hi, but the way she looked, it was like, he frowned again mid-sentence. Besides, who takes a plane for a next city run? One sentence woke the dreamer. Why hadn't Julian realized it sooner? Why would anyone need a flight to the neighboring city? Only now did his voice grow tense. When, exactly, and at which airport did you see Serena? Startled by his friend's sudden shift, Chase hesitated. 6 days ago, Eastbrook Airport. Julian grabbed his coat and strode out without a backward glance. Lily called after him but couldn't make him stop. She had to scoop up her purse and scramble in his wake. He yanked the car door open while stabbing at his phone. 3 consecutive "this number is no longer in service" slammed his heart into an ice cellar. Not only were calls blocked, she'd blacklisted him on WhatsApp too. It was the first time since Serena had vanished that Julian felt genuine panic. In the passenger seat, Lily flicked her hair back and, as usual, vented in front of him. Sis, Serena is really being childish. She didn't notice the slight tightening of his brows, the flash of irritation in his eyes. In this heat, making you drive everywhere looking for her, she doesn't know how to care about you. Julian braked so hard Lily yelped. His voice was cold and low. Whatever she does, it's not your place to comment. Lily's eyes went wide, shock mixing with bewilderment. In all the time they'd been together, Julian had never spoken to her like that. Before, when she mocked Serena's taste in clothes or makeup, even her personality, Julian had always humored her. Yeah, you're younger, don't stoop to her level, okay? Tears of instant grievance shimmered in her eyes, but he ignored them, ordering, "Move to the back." Lily opened her mouth, then bit her lip and climbed out to the rear seat. Julian sped to Vance Industries. Serena's workstation was stripped bare. He cornered everyone in sight. "Where's Serena? Where did Serena go on business? When is she coming back?" But seeing their boss like this, no one dared breathe, let alone risk his wrath. Kayla happened back from lunch and walked straight into the scene. She truly felt Serena wasn't valued. She rolled her eyes and stepped forward, voice calm. "Mr. Vance, Serena resigned last week. You didn't know?" The usually unflappable man swayed, almost losing his balance. Julian looked frantic, disbelieving. "What did you say? Who approved her resignation?" HR didn't dare exhale. Julian had never been this rattled. He refused to believe Serena could walk away from him so cleanly. Back home, he tore through every trace of her. He also found the wedding band he'd tossed into a drawer corner. Those objects gave him a fleeting comfort, the illusion that Serena still loved him. Yet the more you lie to yourself, the sharper the truth cuts. Take love, for example. When Julian finally pulled out the divorce papers himself, utter silence seized him. Back then Serena had asked him one last time with a bitter smile, "Julian, do you really want me to sign?" He'd been impatient, pushing the pen toward her. "Just sign." "I'm only humoring the girl." Julian's breath came in ragged pulls. He braced himself against the sofa. How heartbroken Serena must have been. "A friend back home wrote that lately Julian has been frantically searching for me. He's turned the whole city upside down and found not a shadow. I don't know who leaked word. That night, after work, Senior drove me back. I spotted a familiar silhouette under the street lamp. Serena? Is it really you, Serena?" The instant he saw me, the man frozen in place lit up. Julian's eyes were ringed with bruises. He clearly hadn't slept in days. "But that was none of my business." Senior and I walked up together. Julian's gaze turned dangerous. "Who is he?" I replied, "Not your concern. I asked Senior to leave. I could handle this." Before he left, he glanced back, uneasy. "If you need help, call me anytime. My phone's always on." The hostility rolling off Julian thickened as Jordan, then he pulled me into his arms. "Serena, do you know how long I've looked for you? Stop punishing me, okay?" A cloying perfume clung to his suit, nauseating. I shoved him away and stepped back. Maybe sensing my deliberate distance, hurt flickered across his face. "Serena, you've lost so much weight." I said nothing. He raised his hand in front of me. "Serena, look, our wedding band." I didn't lose it. I tried to wrench free but couldn't. "What do you want?" His lost gaze dropped to my right hand, accusation gathering. "Where's your ring?" I was terse. "Thrown away." This time he was the patient one. "That's okay, Serena. I'll have a unique new pair designed. Tell me what style you like, and we'll decide together when we get home." He seemed to have volumes to say, but none of it mattered. I lowered my eyes, smiled, and cut him off. "Julian, when the heart changes, what good is a one-of-a-kind trinket?" I had never seen Julian look so broken. But who knows how much is real and how much is performance? "Julian, who exactly are you performing for?" I flung off his hand, walked inside, and left him beyond the door. Past midnight, heavy rain began to fall. Cough, cough. The sound of stifled coughing drifted in. I tossed, unable to sleep, and finally threw on a robe to open the door. The hunched figure leaning against it straightened instantly. Clearly startled-eyed appeared. Hope flared in Julian's eyes, then gave way to awkwardness. "Serena?" Hand over his mouth, he apologized. "Did I wake you?" Inside, he sat on the sofa while I rummaged for cold medicine. Swaddled in a throw like a child, he kept pleading, "Serena, you still care, right?" I didn't answer. Eventually irritated, I thrust the medicine and cup at him along with, "Julian, aren't you a little old for this?" The sentence flew back at him like a blade, lodging in his heart until he couldn't speak. I got up to rinse the cup. He seized my wrist and pulled me into an embrace. Rain lashed the windows. I felt damp heat in the hollow of my neck as Julian's voice trembled. "Serena, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. Give me one more chance. Come back, please come back." The cell phone on the table shrilled to life unexpectedly. Caller ID, Lily. The ringtone felt deafening in the quiet living room, impossible to ignore. Julian's face tightened with indecision. "Answer it," I said. Between sobs she pleaded, "The complex lost power, I'm so scared." "Can you come stay with me, please?" Julian curtly said, "I'm abroad," and hung up. He barely set the phone down when my colleague Kayla called. "I'm furious, check the company Slack now. She's spouting nonsense, twisting facts." I had muted that Slack channel ages ago. After leaving for Riley, I'd forgotten to delete it. When I opened it this time, I saw Lily tagging me nonstop, claiming I bullied the junior staff. She even uploaded our divorce papers and that ultrasound printout. Said that although Julian and I were divorced, I still blocked him from marrying her. She went as far as accusing me of being the actual third wheel. Serena, why so silent? Where's that composure now? Remember when you doused me with a scalding latte or mocked me? Lily sounded like she was risking everything just to drag me down with her. Some busybody exported screenshots to the internet. Armchair judges rushed to defend her. By nightfall, cybersleuths had posted my overseas address. People braved the rain to dump garbage at my doorstep, even pitched rocks at the windows. Police finally cleared them away. Regret weighed on Julian's features. I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I'll fix this. The uproar raged on. For safety, Professor Morgan urged me to fly home and lie low. Julian and I booked the next available flight back to sort things out. Because of his public profile, our names stayed glued to trending lists. Yet every insult was aimed solely at me. The company poured money into burying the hashtags. Lily sent a voice text. Serena, you lost. Smug, she added, what were you even fighting me for? It looked hopeless, until, 12 hours in, one sharp-eyed commenter wrote, this ultrasound image looks fake. Another netizen snapped, nice try, white knighting isn't proof. She shot back, I've delivered 2 kids. I know what a real ultrasound looks like. That thing is bogus. Lily had never been pregnant. In an instant, the online current reversed. Julian, like me, loathed being deceived. The moment he learned the report was forged, he finally saw how absurdly wrong he'd been, and that the one he'd always loved was Serena. Having gone the whole night without sleep, we returned for the first time to the place that used to be home. Julian acted almost happy. En route, he had Mrs. Housekeeper buy groceries and start cooking. Remember to get extra, Serena likes. I turned my head toward the window. At dinner, he shelled shrimp and spooned food onto my plate. I never touched a bite. I remember you liked this. Remembering now doesn't matter. I cut him off. Mr. Vance, we're divorced. Julian froze for a second. I slid the papers across to him. The divorce agreement, you asked me to sign it. Panic surfaced on his face. He fumbled for words, unable to stop the inevitable. Serena, what are you saying? You came back, didn't you? We even booked the jeweler. He'll be here next week to design our rings together. I closed my eyes. Julian, I don't want you anymore. She didn't want him anymore. Silence flooded the room. Realizing I truly meant it, the man in front of me reddened around the rims of his eyes. He snatched the papers, tore them to pieces, and snapped, I'm not leaving. Who said I want a divorce? Serena, who authorized you to end our marriage? I tugged my skirt free. We're adults, let's keep some dignity. Stop being unreasonable. I had already booked my afternoon flight back to Aurelia when knocks sounded at the door. Lily, baseball cap tugged low, her long hair masking her eyes, peered in. Serena, can we talk? There's nothing for you and me to discuss. I tried to shut the door, but she exploded with wild strength, ramming it open. Everything happened too fast. I was knocked to the floor. She yanked a paring knife and lunged, aiming to stab. Watch out. Julian darted in, shielding me, and took the blade. Serena, as long as you're all right. He hurled Lily aside, the knife skittered 5 yards away. You ruined me, Serena. Everything, you destroyed, she held. While stanching his wound, I dialed for an ambulance. Lily's nerves unraveled. My mom can't pay her hospital bills. What do you expect me to do? When she joined the company, I mentored her on accounts because at first she worked hard and her resume shone. I tend to root for rookies like her. Talent deserves the boost. But she chose the shortcut. Police and paramedics arrived together. As medics lifted Julian onto the stretcher, I told Lily a final sentence. Shortcuts aren't one size fits all. You're still young. Her eyes widened, bewildered, then she laughed through tears as she was cuffed. Once I'd followed to the hospital and learned the knife had missed anything vital, I was finally free of debt to him. My flight left that afternoon as scheduled. Before I reached the door, he croaked from the bed, Serena, are we truly past the point of return? I didn't look back. If you want me to live well, don't come near me again. He fell silent, only watching as I stepped out. At the threshold, he finally answered, all right. Serena, be happy. I walked through the doorway. I will be. Back in Aurelia, Professor Morgan let me steer 2 major projects, and the experience grew into solid credentials. Now I've received offers from 3 target firms. Next Tuesday I'll start with one. Long after, Kayla mentioned in passing, Since the scandal, Lily resigned and simply vanished. Julian's health declined, he seldom shows up at headquarters anymore. I answered evenly, without a ripple. That's good. A fresh, huge account had just landed on my desk, enough to keep me busy for months. Thank you for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate today's story? If you like this video, please hit like and share it with friends. We'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more great stories. See you next time.